Hey YouTube, Ben here. Just gonna give you a little bit of a shop explanation of how we paint our heavy equipment in our shop. Here we have some overhead lights, as you'll see. I don't want to kind of put the phone up too high as I don't want the glare to come up, but on these overhead lights that we have a cable that's strung from both ends of our shop, end to end, 80 feet long. So this cable easily allows us to move the light and slide our lights down as we're painting different areas of our piece. So as you can see here, very simple. Now I can see what I'm doing over here. We all know as painters, if you can't see it, you can't paint it. So by being able to simply put a couple carabiners up on top of the back of the lamp, I'll try to zoom in here as you'll see, onto the cable. Simple $50 Harbor Freight come along. Harbor Freight cable. Connectors. We're not hanging any considerable amount of weight. I believe it's about 1,800 tensile strength cable we're using. 1,800 pounds, that is. So when this light is there, I can see everything here. But I can't see over here when I'm a painter, right? Especially when I'm spraying orange or red or yellow. For very thin pigmented paints. I simply pull my light back with me here, pull the cord. Now I can see what I'm doing. The current lights that are in our shop are metal halide lights, or halide as people like to pronounce them. Not too impressed by them. This is just a shop that we're leasing. The lease ends in 6 months. So really not much of a need to fix anything. So as you can see here, there's the lights that slide along our walls. Make sure that we can see what we're painting. We have one shop compressor here. That's an electric air compressor. It's a 75 horsepower motor. We don't use this as much as one that we'll show you here outdoors. Depending on if there's one or two people spraying, we either use the Titan 740s, as you'll see in the video coming up here. We probably have 20 different sprayers. So from Titan to Graco to Speedflow, we've got them all. And this one here is a 2 gallon a minute, electric powered Graco GH230. Oh, excuse me, GH200. It's got a hydraulic pump to it, electric powered motor. Realistically, the largest electric motor made, similar to this, you can see how thick the extension cord is. The largest electric motor made right now off a 110 is only a 2 gallon a minute pump, which is this pump. So do we need 2 gallons a minute when we're spraying this type of equipment? No, we do not. But when this sprayer has a third gun attached to it, as you can see here, the GH. On the far side here, we'll have a third gun attached. Then we definitely do need that. When we're spraying Imron, not as important, much thinner. But when we're spraying our Corlar, absolutely instrumental that we have a larger pump. There's no way that the 740 would keep up with two guns spraying Corlar with 1/4 inch line. Maybe if we bumped up the 3/8 inch line, knocked down to a 1/4 inch whip, it may work. But even at that, this is only just less than a gallon a minute pump. So we're not doing a lot of flats. So it's not constant trigger time, correct. I understand that. Here it's a lot of pss, 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 on and off the trigger. Here we have one of our Klemco, excuse me, that's a Schmidt. Klemco's in the storage. We have one of our Schmidt pots, 300 pounder. Got a retrofit kit to it for electric controls. As you can see over here, absolutely a must. Electric controls. Pneumatic, just absolutely old school. And for blast helmets, our blast suits. Gonna open up here a little bit. Show you what we got here. This is our clean air boxes. So it allows us to filter our air, whether we're using our compressed air from our compressor or our shop air, and make sure that all the hoods and the guys that are in the hoods are safe. So we can run 4 hoods off this box. So running 4 hoods, great thing. We also have, 3 more of these boxes over here. Excuse me. So yeah, we could run 16 hoods. Here's another one of the sprayers, 6900, another electric motor. These are all convertible. Our Speedflows, most of our convertible pumps are all Speedflows. In the shop, we're using obviously electric motors. We're not running gas motors inside here. Easy way to tell the size of a pump, size of the plunger. Or as like people say, the size of the dick. So obviously a lot larger pump diameter here with the 6900, which is around a 2 gallon a minute pump, versus the 7400, which has a much smaller. So here we got a toolkit and everything we got marked when we get a piece of equipment in. There's guards that need to be taken off. Try to make it as simple as possible for the guys. Time is money, right? Another video I'm going to make is the waste oil heater and how beneficial that is. And actually, it's pretty much instrumental to making sure that you can make money at doing what we're doing. Because right now I turned off the heater so there's no fan blowing, so you can actually hear me talk. And it's still 76 degrees inside here. So I'll turn this back up to around 78, 80 degrees at the end of the night. Make sure that everything cures up, because everything that we painted yellow is going out the door tomorrow. So we do not add accelerator to our paint. The simple reason being, we want to be able to have the customer touch this up. So let's say they get all the rocks and chips and everything's, dinged up after a year or two. We give the customer the option where we include one box Spray Max 2-part epoxy gray primer. Pretty amazing. Spray can. You take the red tip off the top. You put it on the bottom. You take it to a flat surface. You bang it. You go, and now for 4 days, you have a 2-component epoxy that you can spray to spot prime. Any areas that were marred up. Then, every customer that we have, this customer, for example, all their equipment is orange. We include Imron 2-part epoxy spray cans where they can now touch up this equipment years down the road. So our value of the capabilities that we have far exceeds anybody else that's around. So can somebody make this thing look orange for cheaper? Yeah, they can. But not as well as we can. Here we just added one of the pneumatic spinners, just came in a couple days ago. It's going to be super simple. You just hook your air lines into it. Spin away. So after we add a lot of the rolling thinners to our different products, there's a 3 to 5 minute spin. And I like to tell my guys, hey, it's one full song on the radio at 3 minutes or 2 songs or 1.5 songs because the radio in the shop's always going. Excuse me. Here you have one of our cubby holes that we have. Pretty much everything that we need to come and continually paint this equipment that we have. We have our All Pro strainers. Nice boxes. So every single drop of paint that ever gets sprayed, no matter what, hands down, gets put through the strainer. We don't run filters in our pumps. We don't run filters in our guns. There's a very simple reason for that. Because we use strainers. Usually our pot life on a material, depending on what it is anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. So strainers are an absolute must to make sure that there's nothing in that paint that is going to clog up, since we do not run filters. We do use a lot of chip throwaway brushes as well. Every single day, the PPE that you guys wear, or excuse me, that the guys wear, probably costs about $60 a person. Okay, so each person is wearing one of these goggles. Let's spray and paint, right? Each person's wearing one of the respirators with an organic filter. Each person's wearing a set of gloves. And each person's wearing a hood sock. Okay? Times twice a day. Because everybody goes to lunch and comes back and doesn't want to put on sticky clothes. Don't blame them. So, we buy our spray suits by the box. Have to buy in bulk. Extra large and large. If there's a little guy in the crew, wrap some tape around it. Here's some of the LED lights that we use up underneath. Amazon, again, you'll see a lot of our videos. A lot of the stuff we buy is on Amazon. Whether it be the LED lights, that on this side of the shop, we have another cable that's set up the whole way. Very easy to run that light the whole way down too. There's another light down here, as you can see in the video right there. Currently right now not turned on. But all these lights we buy on Amazon, as much stuff as we can, because it's just super simple, super easy. All this construction plastic that you've seen hang up on the outside of the shop is to stop the overspray from getting on absolutely everything. Because absolutely every painter knows if you're spraying paint, especially with 2 guns at one time, even the fine finish low pressure tips, paint everywhere. All this plastic on this side is held up by magnets. Magnets are awesome. Harbor Freight, check them out. $5 a piece. Get the Harbor Freight card, get a little discount. Magnets also hold up the entire dividing piece of plastic, or if we're painting different colors, or primer to paint, or if we're pressure washing on this far side, or we only sandblast outside. So the only other reason we drop this curtain would be to either pressure wash on this side or to paint a different color on this side, which is pretty common. Here's our flammable paint cabinet. All of our paint gets stored in there and gets dropped off in there. We have the paint dropped off per project. So when we're painting, an item like this, paint gets stored in here until we're ready to paint it. Here's the extra orange that we have. Pretty close, only 5 gallons different. So when I did the bid, I was only 5 gallons off. Here's our PPE. If we're outside, we're on one of these pieces of equipment, and we're over 6 feet off the ground, we have all certified with fall protection PPE. So there's all the harnesses that the guys would use, different types of clips and attachments. Rubber rain suits, from safety vests for high vis to insulated jackets to rubber rain suits. A lot of them. We go through them like mad. The crotches rip out on them, the arms will rip off. Make sure your guys are comfortable with what they're doing. Make sure that they feel good when they go to work. They're warm, they're safe, you're visible. Small toolkit. Magic Mike stereo system, 2, 4, 6 speakers, 7 plus a subwoofer. Got it turned down right now. I think people can hear us from miles around when we're working and painting. This is a natural gas heater up here. This one really doesn't work. So for this 10,000 square foot shop, we have a 260,000 BTU heater that heats the entire shop and keeps the entire shop at 80 degrees. I use a waste oil furnace because 80% of my customers are industrial customers and they have no problem giving me totes of oil. So when we look up at the heater up here, that's a Lanair. They're based out of Wisconsin. In my opinion, they're the Ford of heaters. In my opinion, there's two types of trucks. There's Ford and there's Chevy. So there's either Lanair or there's either Clean Burn, one of the two. We have the Lanairs, multiple. And you'll see in other videos that come. Our Lanair heater, as I mentioned, we have it turned off right now, allows us to burn and keep our heat at 70 degrees. If this thing is non-stop running, it's 2 gallons per hour, 24 gallons a day. Okay, so if it's 50 cents a gallon for waste oil, 25, 50, pretty cheap, right? So the per day cost, very low. So the totes of oil that we have get pumped into this tank first through this spigot. Gets pumped up through, filtered, and then pumped inside either this tank or a 500-gallon tank that's outside. This is our holding tank. It brings all the oil to room temp. Once this tank is filled, we use this tank, redirect it, comes all over here, and then dumps into this tank. This tank feeds the heater directly. So as you can see, this line is copper lined, starting right here. We put a heat tracer line on it. 140 degree heat tracer line that's insulated. So it preheats all the oil before it gets to the burner to 140 degrees. Which then allows us to not have soot and dust on our beautifully painted piece of equipment. Two gallons per hour, full bore, 50 gallons a day, 50 cents a gallon, $25 a day for heat. Large scale floor fan to move the heat that comes from off the heater all the way to the other side of the shop. We need both bays to be the same for cure time. These ceiling fans do not do justice. So our next shop, as you'll see, is going to have fans that'll be, 6-8 foot blades to keep all that heat in the ceiling where we need it. So we saw it was about 77 degrees, 76 on the thermostat. We get to the middle of the room, we're only 1 degree lower. We get to the far end of the room, and I guess I could have another digital, there it is. We're about 5 degrees. So humidity is the same, just pretty custom, but about a 5 degree difference. Any questions about how we do things, why we do things, the way we do things? Message us. Subscribe to the page, hit the alert bell. I hope you liked the last 20 minutes of rambling. My throat hurts. Too many phone calls today.